Well, hello crafters and welcome back. My name is Deepa from DeeZinesByD and I have another crafty installment of the Spellbinders Club Kits, and this time for September. So we're heading into fall now, so you're going to see a ton of fall designs and products coming out from Spellbinders, and I've got to say, my favorite for this month is the Glimmer Kit of the month. It's absolutely stunning, and I feel like there's no way you can go wrong with this one. So my video today is going to focus on the Glimmer Kit. I'll also show you what I did with the clear stamp and die of the month, but of course, I have to focus on those beautiful leaves and the little triangle that's created in this frame for the Glimmer Kit. So as you can see, there is a leafy glimmer plate, a larger plate, and then it's also got a die to cut it out. You got to do that twice to get the frame. There's a nice sentiment and some other little elements you can add. And then for the clear stamp and die, you've got the Fall Gnome set here. So this is actually a really cute set. It's perfect if you're someone who loves coloring in cute little images. And they also have the coordinating dies. Okay, so as I said, I'm focusing on the Glimmer Kit, and that main part is that beautiful floral frame, triangular frame. I don't know about you, but I'm really into the triangle frames lately, even though I don't have much of them. So this is a joy to have. Now, I'm going to actually foil that half frame 3 times. So you're going to need to foil twice to get the full frame. You put the two pieces together. And I foiled a third one to use on the inside of my card, and I'll show you how that all comes together later. Now, I showed you that the foil that comes with the Glimmer Kit. So if you're unaware or you're new to the Spellbinders Club Kits, the Glimmer Kit of the month not only comes with the plates and dies and the set, but it also comes with a roll of foil. And the foil for this month is copper, which is usually common for the autumn months. You get a beautiful orangey colored copper foil. But today I decided I wanted to use some gold foil or polished. I think this is gold. Gold foil or polished brass would work for this design. So I basically foiled each frame 3 times. Each time I just added a new piece of foil rather than using a large piece of foil because I didn't want to have overfoiling. And now I'm adding some color to those frames. So I'm using some Altenew inks. I've got Perfect Peach and I've got some Coral Bliss. So these are some orangey, peachy colors that are perfectly indicative of fall. And you can see I'm just kind of adding a mix of colors with my blending brush here. I don't have to stay inside any lines or anything because we will use the die to cut these frames out. And the die is really nice in that it actually cuts right up to the edge of your foiling. So it actually gives a pretty nice clean look. So I'll just go ahead and line up my die and cut this out 3 times, just like I foiled it 3 times. As I said, that's going to cut right up to the edge of your foiling. Now, I know there's been sets where certain elements, like for example, the little flowers cut up to the edge, but I don't think they've had a frame, so this is actually pretty cool. So now we have all of the other little elements that you can add to your design. So there's a little flower and a leaf that you can foil, and you can see I am not wasting any foil here. I'm probably not going to use that for any solid foiling, so I decided to just cut out the center that wasn't used and use up that foil to foil the little bits, and then I will die cut them with the coordinating dies. There's also a little twig and berries that you can just die cut separately as well. Now I'm showing you here, I have my pieces of cardstock and I actually used some Altenew Plum ink to color the cardstock. When I was looking through my stash, I didn't have the purple that I wanted, so I love being able to use inks on white cardstock like this to make sure that I get the color scheme that I'm wanting. Now I'm going to just foil that extra piece of cardstock, that plum cardstock, with the sentiment and some of that gold foil. And you can see once that comes out and I kind of put the frame around it, it looks gorgeous. So let's go ahead and put all the other little elements together as well. So I'm cutting out that little twig from some gold matte cardstock. And I'm also going to cut out the little berries from some it's ivory glitter cardstock by Sizzix. Once all the little pieces are cut out, you can see that they look gorgeous. I can't wait to put them together. But before I move on to the twig, I'm actually going to add some ink to those flowers that I had foiled earlier. So I haven't cut them out yet. You can tell I love foiling on white, adding the ink of my choice, and then cutting it out. It just seems to work best for me. And as I said, I can get the color scheme that I want because I have a lot more inks or ink colors than I do cardstock colors. So I just added some rose quartz Altenew ink to those flowers, and now I will just position my dies and cut out the flowers. And I kept the leaves. I kept the leaves white so that I can go ahead and have that kind of stand out because I have a lot of color going on this card. So I'm using my handy Sizzix sidekick here to cut out all these little elements. I love having that on my desktop to use to cut out the little bits, especially with Spellbinders products because they have a lot of cute little detailed elements. And I find that these little details are what make your card really pop. So this little vine here I'm going to put together with the little berries, and I have to say, out of the Glimmer Kit, which is my favorite, this is my favorite piece from this set, even though it's not a Glimmer piece. Now let's put together the body of the card. So I've taken that piece of plum cardstock. So it's actually 1/2 of an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of cardstock. And now I've added the ink on both sides of it. I let it dry, and now I am scoring it in the middle at 5.5 to create an A2 size top folding card. Now to add more interest, I'm using the embossing folder of the month, and I'm using it to emboss only the front or the cover of the card. And you can see I basically just put half of it in and put it through my die cutting machine, and it embosses perfectly. Now I'll grab my matte gold cardstock, and I'm cutting a strip that is an inch and a bit, and it is 11.5 inches in length. Now, I'm turning this into a belly band for my card. So it doesn't really matter where you score because it will overlap if you have a strip that's 11 by, 11.5 inches long. And then I'm just making sure that I score a center, so 2 score lines that have 4.5 inches between them. That would be most ideal. I did score 4 and just a bit over a quarter, but it wasn't big enough for my belly band, so I would say score 4.5. Okay, 2 lines that are 4.5 inches apart. Anywhere on that belly band, it's going to connect in the back. It's not a big deal. So now that I've kind of tested it on my card, I am adhering the 2 bits at the back with some strong adhesive. So I'm just going to fold one over the other and attach it very loosely so that there's a bit of space in between. So it's going to be easy for you to get it over and off of your card. Okay, so remember, make sure your 2 lines are 4.5 inches apart for this A2 size card. I did it, and you can see I'm kind of struggling to get that on there. So what I did was I just grabbed my guillotine cutting machine, and I just kind of cut off just a little sliver on the edge so that my belly band would fit a little better. So this card is just a little bit smaller than an A2 size card, but with the belly band, it will fit an A2 size envelope. So now that I've got the belly band sorted, I can go ahead and focus on that beautiful foliage frame. I think I keep saying floral frame, but it's actually a beautiful foliage frame with all the leaves. So I'm kind of I put it over top of my sentiment, and I'm figuring out how to make that diamond the right shape that I want it for my card. So I basically just added glue on both sides of that foliage piece and attached it together. And that's the best part about this, is that you can actually make it a skinnier diamond if you wanted to. You could make it a fatter diamond just by moving those 2 frame pieces apart or together. Now I've added some foam tape on the back of the frame, and I'm going to attach it to the sentiment. You can see I've cut down the sentiment to size so that you don't have any pieces hanging out over the foliage bit. And I'm just going to attach this frame with that foam tape, and the foam tape just gives it like a little bit of a beveled look. It gives it a bit of dimension and just makes it stand out and have a little bit more interest, I would say. So now I'm adding some strong adhesive to the belly band, and I will attach the foliage frame to the center. So once that's attached, I will test it out on my card, and you can see now that that belly band sort of slides on and off pretty easily and looks absolutely stunning. So I will pull that off, and now I'm going to work on the inside. So what I did was I cut a piece of beige or cream cardstock. Actually, this isn't cardstock. It's like a nice paper. And it's like a printer paper, so it's very thin. And I cut it to just a bit smaller than that bottom half of the card. So that would be 4 inches by 5.5. Sorry, not 5.5, 5.25. So 4 by 5.25. And I've cut up that last foliage half of the frame so that I could put it at the bottom of the card to create a little bit of a leafy border. So now I'm actually going to add a sentiment to that beige paper before I put everything together. I'm using the stamp set, the clear stamp set of the month, and I am stamping out the sentiment with some Chianti VersaFine Clear ink. So once it's a bit dry, I will now attach that paper to the inner portion of the card. And then I can kind of line up all of those leaves that I cut out to go at the bottom as a border. And the main thing I want to do is line it up with the bottom edge so that you don't see any of that purple, so that it looks like a continuous border. And I have to say that the choice of the gold foil here versus the copper made a bit of a difference, just because I'm using peaches and like the corally color for my leaves. So I feel like the orange just might, it kind of might wash together with the rest of the colors and not stand out as much as the gold does. Maybe if I were to do another one of these, I would use the copper foil with maybe more greens and yellows, and it would stand out a little more. But if you're like me and you're a member and you subscribe to the Glimmer Kit of the month, you don't really have to worry. You probably have tons of foil sitting around that you can use, and that copper foil is just to build up your stash. So that's another thing I'd like to mention with the Glimmer Kit of the month. I joined it a long time ago. Right now, I'm doing promotional work for Spellbinders, but when I was paying for the subscription, I was actually doing it so that I could build up my stash. So I bought the Glimmer machine like maybe a couple years ago, and I thought I might as well subscribe to the Glimmer Kit of the month, because you're getting a reduced price on whatever the set is. You're getting a foil that goes along with it, which changes every month. You're not going to get the same color foil every month. And I'm just basically building up my stash as I learn to use the Glimmer machine. So if you're new to the Glimmer machine, I would say get the Glimmer machine, subscribe to the Glimmer Kit of the month, at least that one out of all the other kits. And it really helps you just kind of get going and start learning. And then before you know it, you have tons of stuff to use. And by the time you've built up your stash, you have basically mastered the art of foiling. So anyways, the last thing I did after putting together the main portion of this card, as you can see in the front, I added those little flowers and the little vines with the berries, and that just adds a little bit of an accent to the front and also to the inside of the card to just pull everything together. Now I'm finishing this card off as I finish off all of my cards with some embellishments. I've got some clear iridescent gems that I'm adding to the front portion of the card on the belly band, and I think I add a few gems on the inside of the card as well. And once I'm done with this card, basically I featured the step-by-step process for this one in this video because I really like the set. I like this card, and I just kind of ran out of time. So for the clear stamp of the month, I'm just going to go through my card and how I put it together pretty quickly here at the end. If you'd like a more detailed description, go ahead and click on my blog link in the description below. You'll find all the supplies I've used there that have been linked, along with a bit more of a detailed description of how I put this together. So basically, I stamped out all the images, colored them in, cut them out with the coordinating dies. I used the embossing folder of the month to emboss that green background. And then I also used the Spellbinders Essential Ovals to cut out that white oval in the center as basically my focal point to attach all of those little images too. I've added some of the extra images on the bottom right corner on the inside, along with one of the sentiments, and those are basically my cards for today. And I actually wanted to point out that I like the idea of stacking those cute little gnomes in the wheelbarrow and that big gnome saying thankful for my gnomies. It's pretty cool. I love those little sentiments and the little puns. So that's my inspiration for you today. Don't forget to check out my blog for more details, and all the products are linked there. My blog is linked in the description below. And if you like my video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys for my next video, which will feature another kit from the Spellbinders September Club Kits. Have a great day, guys, and I hope to see you again. Bye.